They thought she was just another guest, an outsider, someone with no power. But when two receptionists started talking, they had no idea who was listening. What will happen when the truth finally comes out? Let us know in the comments section below. Erica Carter stepped into the grand lobby of the opulent Carter Royal Hotel, a place that bore her family name, but had long been run by a team she trusted, or so she thought. The polished marble floors gleamed under the cascading chandelier, and the air carried the faintest scent of lavender, a signature touch she had insisted on when the hotel first opened. Every detail was meant to represent excellence, luxury, and above all, a hospitality experience unmatched in the industry. Yet standing here as just another guest, unnoticed, she felt like a stranger in her own empire. She had arrived under the alias Miss Harris, dressed in an understated black dress and a tan trench coat that softened her typically commanding presence. With her naturally warm brown complexion and sleek shoulder-length bob, she had the kind of timeless elegance that could belong to any high-power executive or an affluent traveler passing through. She wasn't someone they would associate with ownership, not in this moment. That was exactly the point. No one at the front desk flinched when she approached. If anything, she was met with the kind of lukewarm service that had started to show up in online reviews. Nothing outright rude, but just indifferent. No bright smiles, no warm greetings, no sense that she was stepping into a five-star experience. Instead, the two receptionists behind the counter continued their conversation, one tapping at the computer absent-mindedly, the other flipping through what looked like a magazine. "I swear if she ever shows up in person, I'd love to see what she even looks like," the younger one muttered, barely lowering her voice. "She won't," the other one scoffed. "Owners like her, they're too busy playing philanthropist or whatever. Probably doesn't even know how to run a hotel." Erica's fingers tightened around the handle of her suitcase, but she kept her expression neutral. She had spent years cultivating patience and self-control in the business world. Still, hearing her name, the hotel's name, dragged through casual, dismissive gossip right in front of her, made something hot flare in her chest. The younger one snorted. "Yeah, but she's still collecting all the money, right? Meanwhile, we're over here working overtime because they won't hire more people. This place is going downhill. If I don't get out soon, I'm going to lose my mind." Erica tilted her head slightly, watching their body language. These weren't employees afraid of their bosses overhearing. These were people who felt unseen, unheard, and comfortable enough to talk about their workplace like this in the middle of a shift. "You checking in?" the younger receptionist finally asked, barely glancing at her. Erica's lips curled into the faintest smile. "Yes, Erica Harris. I have a suite reserved." The woman tapped at the keyboard lazily, her eyes scanning the screen. "Right, you're in the executive suite. Second highest tier, nice pick," she said flatly, still devoid of warmth. She slid the key card across the counter. "Room 1502, elevators to your right." No welcome, no offer to assist with her bags, nothing. Erica took the key, tucking it between her fingers. "Thank you. And what's your name?" The receptionist blinked, slightly taken aback by the question. "Tamara." "Thank you, Tamara." Erica gave her a slow nod before turning toward the elevator, her heels clicking against the marble floor with quiet authority. As the doors closed behind her, she let out a slow breath. Something was very wrong here. The executive suite was everything she had designed it to be, spacious, elegant, and built for those who expected the best. The living area featured floor-to-ceiling windows that showcased the city skyline, and the furnishings exuded sophistication with deep mahogany and soft gold accents. It was a reflection of the kind of experience the Carter Royal was supposed to deliver. And yet, the energy was off. She had spent years trusting managers, general staff, and hospitality professionals to uphold the hotel's legacy while she expanded the business. But something had shifted. The way the receptionist spoke about her, about the hotel, was not just frustration. It was the kind of discontent that hinted at deeper issues. She wasn't going to leave this as a mystery. Sliding her trench coat off, she grabbed her phone and made a call. It rang only once before a familiar voice answered. "Is Carter?" The voice was alert, professional, her assistant, Jordan. "I need a full report on employee complaints and guest reviews over the last 6 months. No summaries, no filters. I want raw data." There was a pause. "I'll get it to you within the hour." "Good." She hesitated, then added, "And Jordan, have I been made aware of any serious complaints about management?" Another pause, longer this time. "There have been murmurs, but nothing that's reached your desk directly." Erica exhaled through her nose, already knowing what that meant. If complaints weren't reaching her, someone was filtering them out before they could escalate. That someone was either incompetent or corrupt. "Understood," she said. "Send me everything." Hanging up, she paced the room, her mind churning. The hotel still looked pristine on the surface, but the cracks were showing. Staff morale was crumbling. Service was deteriorating. And worst of all, she had been completely out of the loop. Erica had built her reputation on being an involved owner, someone who knew the details of her business. So how had she let it get this bad? The truth was, she had stepped back too much. Expansion had taken priority, and she had relied too heavily on executives to maintain the hotel's standards. It was a mistake she was going to correct immediately. Her next move was clear. She had to stay undercover, dig deeper, and find out exactly who or what was poisoning her hotel from the inside. And she had a feeling it wouldn't take long before she found her answer. Later that evening, she ventured back downstairs, blending in with the guests lingering in the lobby bar. From her vantage point, she could see Tamara and the other receptionist, Anthony, still at the front desk. "What would you do if you ever actually saw her?" Anthony asked, leaning lazily against the counter. Temo rolled her eyes. "I don't know. Probably tell her to her face that she has no idea how bad it is down here, if she even cared." Erica took a sip of her drink, her jaw tightening. They were about to find out exactly how much she cared. Erica Carter had been underestimated before, but never in her own empire. Sitting across from James Hollis, the man she had trusted to manage her flagship hotel, she watched as the realization of his mistake settled into his face. He had no idea who she was when she first walked in. He had spoken to her with the same indifference he likely used on guests, brushed her off like she was just another insignificant complaint. And now he knew the truth. Erica Carter was here, and she was done playing games. Hollis licked his lips, scrambling for control. "Ms. Carter, Erica held up a hand, stopping him. "I'm going to make this easy for you, Hollis," she said, her voice smooth but firm. "You have one chance to tell me everything before I start pulling records myself." Hollis hesitated. His eyes darted to the door, as if considering an escape, before settling back on her. She let the silence stretch. 1 second. 2. Then, with a sigh, he slumped back in his chair. "What do you want to know?" Erica's expression remained unreadable. "Let's start with the money. Employee complaints say they're overworked and underpaid, but I know for a fact that my payroll budget is more than enough to cover full staffing. So, where's the money going?" Hollis hesitated, just long enough to confirm her suspicions. Erica's fingers tapped lightly against the armrest of her chair. "I suggest you answer truthfully, because the next conversation we have will involve lawyers." He exhaled sharply, rubbing a hand down his face. "We?" He stopped, correcting himself. "I started reallocating certain funds last year. Some of it went into cost-saving adjustments, meaning staff cuts, to maintain profit margins." Erica's jaw tightened, but she kept her voice even. "And the rest?" He swallowed. "Discretionary expenses, bonuses." "For who?" "Senior management. Of course, Erica leaned forward, folding her hands. Let me make sure I understand this correctly. You cut staff, you allowed guest services to deteriorate, and you funneled those savings into bonuses for yourself and the other executives. Hollis had the decency to look ashamed, but shame meant nothing to her right now. She wasn't done. By the time she left Hollis's office, her next steps were already set in stone. Step 1. Audit every transaction made under his leadership. Step 2. Clean house. Step 3. Make an example out of him. She didn't go back to her suite. Instead, she made her way straight to the employee break room, the very place where she had first overheard her staff's frustrations. When she stepped inside, the conversation came to an immediate halt. Tamara, the front desk employee who had insulted her without knowing who she was, nearly choked on her drink. Howard, the maintenance supervisor, straightened, eyes narrowing with recognition. Others just stared, unsure whether to be nervous or hopeful. Erica let the silence hang before she spoke. My name is Erica Carter. The reaction was instant. Gasps, muttered curses, and Tamara visibly paling. I own this hotel, she continued, her voice measured. And in the last 24 hours I have learned more about its problems from you than I have from my entire executive team in the past year. No one dared to speak. Erica glanced around the room. I want honesty. How bad is it? The floodgates opened. Employees started talking over each other about the long hours, the lack of overtime pay, the way guest complaints were ignored, how upper management dismissed concerns and funneled money into their own pockets while cutting back on staff. Erica absorbed it all, nodding, taking mental notes. When they were done, she nodded. Thank you, she said simply. Then, turning to Tamara, she spoke without venom, but with unmistakable authority. You walk with me. Tamara looked like she wanted the earth to swallow her whole. She scrambled to follow as Erica led her out of the break room, down the hallway, and into the empty lobby. I'm so sorry, Miss Carter. I didn't mean... Save it, Erica said coolly. You didn't know who I was, which means you spoke freely. That's what I needed. Tamara swallowed. Erica stopped near the front desk, glancing over the sleek, polished counter. Do you like working here? Tamara hesitated, caught off guard. I mean, I used to. When I first started, it felt exciting, luxurious, like we were part of something special. And now? She let out a bitter laugh. Now? It feels like a job I have to survive. Erica nodded, considering her. I don't fire people for being frustrated, she said finally. But I do fire people for being part of the problem. So you tell me, Tamara, are you part of the problem? Tamara's breath hitched. She shook her head. No, ma'am. Then prove it. Tamara blinked. How? Erica turned toward her fully. I need a front desk manager who actually understands the struggles of their employees and cares about customer service. Someone who knows where things went wrong and how to fix them. Do you think you can step up? Tamara's eyes widened. Wait, you're offering me a promotion? I'm offering you a chance, Erica corrected. Earn it. Tamara didn't hesitate. I will. By the end of the day, the fallout had begun. James Hollis was terminated immediately, escorted out of the building by security. A full financial audit was ordered and several other senior managers were placed on immediate suspension. And the biggest change? Erica stayed. She set up an office on site, making it clear that the Carter Royal Hotel was no longer a forgotten piece of her empire. It was her priority. She held meetings with every department, met with guests, ensured that her presence was known, not just as an owner, but as a leader who was paying attention. The atmosphere in the hotel shifted. It didn't happen overnight. Trust had to be rebuilt. Employees who had been beaten down by years of neglect had to see that real change was happening. But they did see it, and for the first time in a long time, the Carter Royal Hotel began to feel like the luxury establishment it was always meant to be. Not because of expensive chandeliers or marble floors, but because of the people who made it special. Erica Carter had reclaimed her throne, and she wasn't letting it fall again. Erica had spent years perfecting the art of silence, listening before speaking, observing before acting. It had given her an edge in business. But tonight, as she sat in the dimly lit hotel bar, watching her own employees trash her name, she felt something else bubbling beneath her calm exterior. Disappointment. She had built this hotel with a vision of excellence, yet here she was, listening to employees speak of her like she was some disconnected, heartless figurehead. Worse, they weren't just gossiping about her, they were openly admitting how mismanaged things had become. And she still didn't know the full extent of it. A plan was already forming in her mind, but before she could take action, she needed more information. She waited until the bar thinned out, until the front desk staff swapped shifts, then quietly made her way toward the hotel's back hallways. The places guests never saw. The heartbeat of the building. If something was truly wrong, this was where she'd find it. The break room smelled of stale coffee and exhaustion. It was a small space, tucked behind the concierge office, furnished with a worn-out couch and a scratched-up vending machine that looked like it hadn't been serviced in years. A single microwave sat on the counter, its digital clock blinking the wrong time. And inside? Half a dozen employees, some in uniform, some clearly off-duty, grumbling over takeout containers and lukewarm coffee. Erica hovered near the doorway, unnoticed, blending into the background as she listened. Man, I swear, if I get one more Karen screaming at me about her VIP experience, I'm gonna lose it, a young woman muttered, jabbing a plastic fork into her food. I hear you, another said. And you know what's worse? They charge guests thousands for these rooms, but guess whose paycheck never budges? Like, where is all that money going? One of the men snorted. Straight into Carter's pockets, obviously. Erica's fingers twitched, but she forced herself to stay still. That's the thing, though, a voice chimed in from the couch. It was a man, mid-40s, weary-looking, his badge reading Howard, maintenance supervisor. You think she even knows? Word is she hasn't set foot in this place in years. She's too busy with her other hotels. We could tell corporate 100 times, but nothing changes because upper management keeps sweeping it under the rug. Erica's eyes narrowed slightly. Upper management. That was the key. She had assumed negligence, assumed poor leadership. But now she had a new question. Was someone actively covering up problems? She had to find out. The next morning, Erica put her next move into action. She headed down to the hotel's management offices, walking with the same quiet confidence that had always made people underestimate her. A middle-aged woman in a crisp navy blazer sat at the reception desk, typing away. She barely glanced up when Erica approached. I need to speak with the general manager, Erica said smoothly. The woman sighed. He's in a meeting. Oh, wait. For the first time, the receptionist actually looked at her, eyes sweeping over Erica's simple yet refined outfit. There was a flicker of something, curiosity, maybe even suspicion, but she only nodded toward the leather seating area. Suit yourself. Erica took a seat, crossing one leg over the other, keeping her expression unreadable as she studied the office layout. It was clean, polished, but something felt off. The small details stood out. The way the receptionist never greeted the employees who walked past, the stiff tension in the air, the quiet murmurs behind closed doors. Something was being hidden, and she was going to find it. 30 minutes passed before a heavy wooden door swung open, and a tall man in his late 50s stepped out. Salt and pepper hair, a tailored suit, a carefully controlled expression. James Hollis, general manager. Erica had hired him 5 years ago after he dazzled her with his experience in luxury hospitality. He hadn't recognized her yet. She rose smoothly, stepping into his path before he could disappear. "Mr. Hollis." He blinked at her, taken aback. "Yes?" "I'd like to discuss some concerns about my stay." He barely concealed his impatience. "I see. If this is a guest complaint, I'd be happy to have our customer service team. I'd rather discuss it with you." There was a beat of silence. Then, slowly, a smile stretched across his face, the kind of smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Of course. Step into my office." Hollis's office was sleek but sterile. No personal touches, no warmth. Just a glass desk, a well-stocked liquor cabinet, and neatly organized binders stacked to the side. He gestured for her to sit, then settled into his chair with the kind of forced ease only corporate men had mastered. "What seems to be the issue, miss?" "Errors," she supplied smoothly. He nodded, still oblivious. "All right, Miss Harris. What can I help you with?" Erica folded her hands in her lap. "I'm curious. What would you say is the hotel's biggest challenge right now?" Hollis hesitated, but only for a fraction of a second. "Staffing shortages, like many in the industry. We're working through it." "Is that so?" Her voice was neutral. "Because from what I've seen, it seems to be more than that. The staff is frustrated, morale is low, service is slipping." His smile didn't falter. "That's unfortunate, but rest assured, we're addressing any concerns internally." Erica let silence stretch between them. Hollis didn't seem fazed. In fact, he seemed comfortable. That's when she knew. He wasn't just incompetent. He was hiding something. Erica leaned forward slightly, her voice soft but sharp. "You've been managing this hotel for 5 years, Mr. Hollis. I assume you report directly to corporate about any major concerns?" Hollis's jaw tensed for just a second. "Of course. And yet—" She tilted her head. "Guest complaints have risen. Employee satisfaction has plummeted. Costs are being cut in places that directly impact the experience. And from what I hear, those concerns haven't made it past you." His smile finally wavered. "Just a little. Miss Harris, I assure you, You don't recognize me, do you?" Silence. A flicker of something crossed his face. Confusion, a tiny trace of uncertainty. Erica reached into her purse and pulled out a sleek black business card, sliding it across the desk. 2 words, embossed in gold. "Erica Carter." Hollis stared at it. The color drained from his face. And just like that, his mask slipped. Erica saw it all in his eyes. The panic, the realization, and most importantly, the guilt. She had him. She folded her hands calmly. "I think we need to have a real conversation now." Hollis swallowed hard, trying to recover. "Miss Carter, Erica held up a hand. "Save it. We're past the lies." The tension in the room thickened. She leaned back, crossing her legs. "Tell me the truth, Mr. Hollis. How long have you been covering up the problems in this hotel?" He hesitated. "Too long?" That was all the confirmation she needed. And she was just getting started.